Gun one would be 10,000.
From a teenager arguing with a judge over his phone to another mocking a victim's mother, the actions of these kids in the courtroom will leave you frustrated. Get ready to witness some of the most disrespectful young offenders ever caught on camera. William Demopoulos. Let's start with one of the most outrageous courtroom moments involving 18-year-old William Demopoulos from Berea, Ohio. He was attending a probation hearing for charges like criminal damage, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and obstructing justice. It should have been a routine court appearance, but William had other ideas. The tension escalated when Judge Chris Green asked him to hand over his phone to his probation officer. You'd think this would be a...
You are on probation. Your probation officer has the right to take anything they want to take of yours. If they want to search your phone, they search your phone. Problem is, you don't want to play by anybody's rules. You want to play by your own rules. Not like that.
But William wasn't having it. He tried to defend himself, insisting, "It's not like that." But let's be honest, it was exactly like that. At this point, the judge had enough. He ordered the deputies to cuff William, and that's when everything spiraled out of control. Instead of calmly accepting his fate, William suddenly leaped onto the courtroom table as if he was about to stage a dramatic escape, but his plan didn't get far. Officers immediately grabbed him and pulled him down before he could go anywhere. The whole scene lasted just a few chaotic seconds, but it sealed his fate. The judge wasn't about to let this slide. He revoked William's probation, slapped him with a resisting arrest charge, and sentenced him to 40 days in jail. And just like that, William went from a probation hearing to a jail sentence, all because he refused to part with his phone. But if you thought that case was wild, wait until you hear about what happened in Miami, Florida, at the Miami-Dade Circuit Court. Penelope Soto. Next up, we have Penelope Soto, a teen who learned the hard way that disrespecting a judge never ends. Well, it all started when Soto was caught with Xanax, a controlled substance, landing her in front of Judge Jorge Rodriguez Chomat on February 4th, 2013. From the moment she walked into the courtroom, her attitude made one thing clear.
Gun one would be 10,000.
The hearing began with routine questions about Penelope Soto's financial situation, but it didn't take long for her attitude to shine through. She responded with a snarky tone and a dismissive laugh, treating the entire process like a joke. When asked if she owned any valuable assets, she casually listed off items like jewelry, claiming they were worth a lot of money. The judge, however, wasn't amused. Good
morning, Ms. Soto. You're being charged with possession of Xanax and BARS. I don't know what that is. What is that?
Xanax bars. That's how they refer to them.
Xanax bars.
When the judge asked if she had taken any drugs in the past 24 hours, Soto confidently...
How much would you say your jewelry is worth? It's not a joke, you know. We are not in a club now.
Okay, but it's
we are not in a club. Be serious about it.
I'm serious about it.
You just made me laugh. I can see you're serious, all right.
You just made me laugh. I apologize.
But her erratic behavior told a different story. Judge Rodriguez Chomat wasn't convinced and set her bond at $5,000. Instead of taking it seriously, Soto smirked, laughed, and walked away, while muttering an obscene remark under her breath. The judge wasn't about to let that slide. He immediately called her back and
How much is your jewelry worth?
It's worth a lot of money.
Like what?
Like Rick Ross.
Huh?
It's worth
Ma'am,
money.
have you had any kind of drugs in the last 24 hours?
Actually, no.
Bye-bye. Come back, ma'am. Come back. Back. Come back. Give me the paper again. Your bond is now $10,000. But Soto still didn't know when to quit. As she walked off again, she shouted a profanity at the judge, and that was the last straw. Without hesitation,
Bye-bye.
Adios.
Come back, ma'am. Come back. Come back. Give me the paper again. Count one would be 10,000.
This wild exchange was all caught on camera, and before Soto even realized what was happening, the footage went viral. People were shocked by her audacity, and the clip quickly became one of the most talked about courtroom moments ever. However, just 2 days later, the court showed some leniency, reducing her bond back to $5,000. When Soto returned to court 4 days later, she was a completely different person. With a sincere
Oh, you did say that? I find you in direct criminal contempt. 30 days in the county jail.
Judge Rodriguez Chomat, recognizing Soto's genuine remorse, decided to give her another chance. He revoked her sentence and instead ordered her to complete a drug program. A year later, Soto successfully finished the program, and her drug charges were dropped. This moment wasn't just a lesson for Penelope Soto. It became a cautionary tale for anyone who thought they could disrespect a courtroom and get away with it. Nicholas Lindsay. Next up is Nicholas Lindsay, a teenager who was sentenced 3 times, yet remained completely unfazed, even smiling in court. It all started back in 2011 in Florida, when Officer David Crawford, a beloved cop with 25 years on the force, responded to what seemed like a routine burglary report. Crawford arrived at the scene, stepped out of his car with nothing but a notepad in hand, and found himself face-to-face with 16-year-old Nicholas Lindsay, who was armed with a gun he had bought for just $140. What happened next was truly heartbreaking. Nicholas panicked and fired 5 shots, killing Officer Crawford on the spot. The officer wasn't even armed, he was just doing his job. Fast forward to the courtroom, and Nicholas was charged with first-degree murder.
Behavior was very irrational, and I apologize not only to the court and you, but to my family.
Later, thanks to a Supreme Court ruling that prohibited automatic life sentences for juveniles, Nicholas's case was revisited, but here's where things get wild. Every time he appeared in court, he acted completely unfazed. Seriously, he was grinning while the judge handed down life sentences. Not even kidding, the judge was delivering a heavy statement about the pain and devastation Nicholas had caused, and he just sat there like it was nothing. Watching it all unfold, Officer
Life of the sentence review hearing after 25 years is the only
Oh, and it doesn't stop there. His lawyers tried to argue for a lighter sentence, maybe 40 years, claiming that he was making an effort to turn his life around in prison. Apparently, he had earned his GED and taken a few classes.
This was served, and I'm glad it's over, and it just kind of proves to me that he's an animal as he sat there smiling.
But the prosecution wasn't buying any of it. They came in with hard evidence that Nicholas was still causing trouble behind bars, fighting, sneaking in contraband, and generally being violent. The judge wasn't impressed and stuck with the original sentence, life in...
The court decided was that juveniles, people under the age of 18 that commit a crime, don't have the same mental capacity to think like a...
Here's the thing. This case didn't just affect Nicholas or Officer Crawford's family. The entire community felt the impact. Even the mayor, who had met Nicholas before during an outreach program, was heartbroken. He had seen potential in the kid, only to have this tragedy unfold. As for Nicholas's mom, that's a tough one. She realized her son might be involved after hearing the description of the suspect and made him turn himself in. Can you even imagine being a mom in...
Justice was served, and I'm glad it's over, and it just kind of proves to me that he's an animal as he sat there smiling.
At the end of the day, Nicholas sealed his own fate. 3 sentencing hearings later, and the guy was still acting like he couldn't care less. Honestly, it's just a sad, tragic story. One kid's bad choices destroying so many lives, including his own. Now, let's move on to a case that will honestly make you furious. This is the story of Peyton Gendron, the Buffalo mass shooter. It all went down in Erie County Court in Buffalo, New York, and from start to finish, the whole thing was intense. Judge Susan Egan didn't pull any punches. She looked 19-year-old, Gendron dead in the eye, and told him, "You will never see the light of day as a free man ever again." Right from the start, she made it clear this was not going to be a soft hearing. But things really took a turn when Barbara
You gonna come to our city and decide you don't like black people.
Then, out of nowhere, things got chaotic. Just as Barbara was finishing her statement, one of her family members couldn't hold it in anymore. He lunged straight at Gendron. You could hear someone in the background saying, "Don't do it." But it was too late. Court guards had to rush in, restrain him, and quickly escort Gendron out of the room. It felt like the entire courtroom needed a moment to catch its breath. The judge had to pause everything to calm the situation down. The rest of the hearing was filled with heartbreaking statements. Kimberly Suter, the widow of Aaron Suter Jr., the security guard who tried to stop Gendron, was there, wearing red and black to honor her husband. When she read from the Bible,